let's get into the sports topics, but I'm really passionate about this Lone Pine Golf Course because not only is where around the area where I grew up, but it also concerns me to see the environmental impacts that it has. It's not I don't think I going off of experience, businesses don't tend to do what's best for residents in the area. They just kind of do what's best for their bottom line. There's no social impact that they'll have because they'll have a way to be liability free when they build those homes. So what I'm trying to say is that even though the residents voted against it, the planning zoning board voted against it, the Riviera Beach City Council agreed to rezone that area in favor of D.R. Horton, and to me, that's just a travesty. Now, let's get into the hashtag words of encouragement. I wanted to put it earlier in the show just because I believe so strong in it this year, and it's that let people be sometimes. Like, there are, and it goes both ways, and let me explain, is that, this is the holiday season. This is a special time. This is a good time for a lot of people. But at the same time, this time of year brings about negative connotations for a lot of people, and a lot of tragedies, may have personal tragedies or being lonely or personal things that have really affected them greatly in their emotional distress. They remember it at this time of the holidays because, say, if they were going to see family, they couldn't see family. And it's like, normally I'm an optimistic person, and I say, oh, I was this person where I was like, oh, well, this person shouldn't be sad, blah, blah, blah. Well, it's cheer up. It's it's the Christmas season. But no, I think that we should let people be. If they want to be sad, do your best not to make them worse. Yeah, I would say don't make the situation more negative. But if you want to be happy and be positive during the holiday season, let your Christmas spirit show and let your holiday spirit show. Happy Hanukkah. It's the second night of Hanukkah, I believe. And let your holiday spirit show, but don't try to change somebody else's attitude. And that goes the other way. If you're negative, yeah, misery loves company. Misery does love company. But if you're negative, just, be negative and know that this time will pass. Like, if it's a tough time in this life, this time goes past. And your emotions are temporary only. You're only going to be happy for a time. You're only going to be sad for a time. But I guarantee you won't be sad forever. I guarantee you won't be happy forever. So you kind of got to, ride the wave. And that's all the really kind of advice I'm saying. But when it comes down to it, my words of encouragement is let people be in their own space. Too many times we're trying to say, oh, if I'm happy, I need everyone else around me to be happy. But your happiness should not be dependent on other being happy around you. And and vice versa. If you're sad, if you're feeling sad, it's okay to be sad. Feel the sad. It's okay. But don't expect everyone else to be sad around you and not be in their spirit in whatever they feel. And that's why I just wanted to say that, because there's some days around this time of year, where I'm feeling great. I'm singing a song, and then there's some days where it's like, I don't want to see a single person. Y'all, it might as well be July 10th. Like, I don't care what time of year it is. Get away from me. So what I mean is, we're all people. We have a range of emotions. If somebody's happy, let them be happy. If somebody's sad, let them be sad, as long as they're not affecting you, and let people be. So now, from those words of encouragement, let's switch it to the sports section and switch it to the World Cup 22 recap. We recently had the World Cup final was yesterday morning at 10 a.m. The final four for the World Cup was Argentina and Croatia and France and Morocco. And the World Cup final went as such, where Argentina and France met in an epic battle. You had the young, kind of up-and-coming team of France, the defending champs, that had seen a lot of turnover, save for Kylian Mbappe. And then you had Argentina, where they did have some young blood, but of course they had the mainstays of Lionel Messi and Angel Di Maria. And so when you saw that matchup, the odds were pretty even. It was negative 105 for Argentina and negative 115 for France. And I personally wanted France to win just because I like Kylian Mbappe and I really think he's next coming up. And although I do like Leo Messi, I just don't think that Argentina, while they are great players, I necessarily don't think they don't have that good of sportsmanship sometimes. So I kind of was like turned off by just the way that they were acting sometimes, especially the goalkeeper for Argentina. And he did that against Colombia a couple years ago, which was really frustrating in penalty kicks. And so the game started like this, where it was 0-0 for a little time, and in the 23rd minute, Messi there was a penalty for Argentina. Messi took the kick and, of course, calmly, collectedly shot it into the back of the net, 1-0 Argentina. Then about 12 minutes later, in the 36th minute, Angel Di Maria got a beautiful ball, a beautiful setup from Messi and other players, Argentine players, and was able to put it into the back of the net, and it was 2-0. At that point, it was going into halftime. France didn't score. It was 2-0 at halftime. I'm thinking to myself, oh, this thing's over. Like 2-0, Argentina's up 2-0. There's no way France is going to come back. And even in the 65th minute, I decided to myself, oh, I'm going to come back. I'm going to go to Publix real quick and come back and just grab a quick sub for lunch, come back, and see what happened. When I got back, I pulled up, literally couldn't have been 15 minutes, because in the 80th minute, Mbappe got a penalty, and he was able to score, make it 2-1 France. And then in the 81st minute, France was able to score again. Or actually, Mbappe scored again on an open play and tied the game, equalized the game up. So it was for the first 80 minutes, it was looking like Argentina was in total control. France looked terrible. And then once they tied it, there was a new life in France, and they fought until extra time. And then in extra time, in the World Cup, when the stakes are the highest, this is the highest stakes game that you can play in the World Cup final. It's 2-2. In the second half of the World Cup extra time, they play a minimum of 30 minutes, 2 15-minute halves. And so in the first half, nothing happened. Teams were trying to feel each other out. Second half of extra time, Messi was able to get on the end of a pass and have a dramatic goal scored where the ball crossed the line, and then a France player was able to kick it out really quickly. And the determination was, did the ball cross the line? Did the ball cross the line? And once they slowed it down, it was seen that there wasn't even any need for video replay, for VAR. They were able to show that, yes, the ball did cross the line, and Messi had put Argentina ahead 3-2. After that, France had an air of desperation about them, because there was about 10 more minutes left of extra time, and Argentina was poised to try to win. Well, Argentina kind of had a momentary lapse of concentration, and in extra time, Mbappe got a penalty, was awarded a penalty, and he scored the goal easily, passing Martinez, the goalkeeper for Argentina. And France tied it up with minutes left to play, and France and Argentina were headed to penalties. Right before, in the last minute, in the last 30 seconds of extra time, stoppage time, there was a play with France where France got behind Argentina's defenses and tried a short volley. However, the goalkeeper for Argentina was able to stick out his leg at the last second and deflect the pass and parry the shot outside of the goal. And so they saved Argentina's World Cup hopes. In PKs, you had your two best players kicking the first two PKs of the game. Messi walked up to the goal, cool, calm, and collected, like he's been there 1,000 times. and he put it into the left of the goal. He's left-footed, so he put it to his left, almost passed it as hard as he could to his left, and the goalkeeper just guessed the other way. Next up was Kylian Mbappe, the young 22-year-old from France. He drilled the PK in the same way he had kicked the other two PKs. The goalie knew he was going that way, but still couldn't stop it because it was one of those professional PKs, professional penalty kicks, where it's not too high, not too low, and it's with enough pace and power that there's no way you're going to block that penalty kick. So after Mbappe had made it 1-1, Argentina and France in penalty kicks, Argentina proceeded to make both of their penalty kicks. And then on France's second penalty kick, the goalkeeper for Argentina blocked it because the right footer went to his left. And then on the third kick for France, he missed the goal wide to his left as a right footer again. So after 3 penalty PKs, 3 rounds, it was 3-1 for Argentina. The next goal, France was able to score and Argentina missed. And then on the last PK, Argentina had Montiel up, and he sunk it into the back of the net, achieving and completing the dream for Lionel Messi. Not only Lionel Messi, his family, friends, but an entire country who had been waiting since 1986 to win the World Cup, and behind their native son, Lionel Messi, to win their 3rd World Cup. Argentina had won in 1978 and 86. They went to the final in 1990 and 2014 and lost in those opportunities. In 2014, Messi was able to get to the final, but he lost, and now he finally got the redemption. His only award that had been missing him, had been eluding him, Lionel Messi was able to take care of the World Cup trophy, take home the World Cup trophy, and now he has completed every award, every accolade, and more goals or more prizes than anyone has ever made. The only thing that Cristiano Ronaldo now could say that he has over Messi is that Cristiano Ronaldo has more career earnings than Lionel Messi. And that's because Lionel Messi has played for the majority of his career, if not all of his career, with FC Barcelona. And while he gets paid handsomely as one of the top players, Cristiano Ronaldo is now going to Saudi Arabia, and he's going to get paid. Now listen to this. This is not a 5-year deal. Per season, he's getting paid $200 million a year per season. Like, bruh, that's a lot of money, man. So, and the highest paid football player right now is Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers, just for comparison, gets paid $50 million a year. So for Cristiano Ronaldo to make 4 times that money per year to go play soccer in Saudi Arabia, he's basically turned into a mercenary for soccer. Now, after talking about the World Cup and Argentina's 3rd World Cup victory and France, losing their World Cup defending bid, we're going to switch it up to the egg-shaped ball, the American football, as Europeans and the rest of the world calls it. We're going to switch it up to the NFL Week 15 news and notes. Ladies and gentlemen, this was one of the craziest, most unexpected, most legendary weeks that I've ever seen in my 35 years of watching football. Well, 30 years, I guess, because before I was 5, I didn't really know what was going on. But but in all my years of watching football, this has been one of the most craziest, insane, nuts, cashews, pecans weekends that you could ever watch in football. And we're going to start with the Saturday night game. Yes, the Saturday night showdown of the Dolphins versus the Bills. This game the Dolphins needed to have. The Dolphins were 8-5 coming into the game, where the Bills were 10-4, and 10-3, and the Bills were riding high, coming off a couple game winning streak, and the Dolphins were coming off a 2-game skid after losing on their West Coast trip to San Francisco and to Los Angeles. They lost both of those games. The Dolphins could not pull the trigger, though, could not get the job done, and they fell to 8-6 and lost in last-second fashion to the Buffalo Bills 32-29. This was such a different game than the previous 2 games that the Dolphins have played. When I look back at the Niners game, the Dolphins were completely lost. They competed, but there was too many drops. Tua was too off. I don't know if it was the jet lag or what have you. But, hey, man, how's it going? We got some live listeners outside checking in. How's it going? Appreciate you, man. Leo Be the Lion Show. So, as the Dolphins were playing the Niners, they looked listless. They tried to compete until the late stages, but Tua wasn't himself. So trash that game. Then had to go again on the road, stay out west to the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers, we thought, as Dolphin fans, we're like, okay, we could take care of the Chargers as long as we don't put up the showing that we did against the 49ers. Well, it was like Frisco all over again, and we basically laid an egg against the Chargers again. It's not like we didn't score, but we laid an egg to the point where we didn't play our normal Dolphins football. It looked like Tua was more lost. The Chargers defense played their best game of the season, and the Chargers just outplayed the Dolphins and beat us. Now, fast forward to this week against the Bills. Nobody was giving us any credit. The Bills were 7-point favorites. We were 7-point dogs on the road. And the whole time they were talking about, oh, man, there's going to be a blizzard out there. There's going to be 9 inches of snow. There's going to be wind out there. There's going to be windy, snowy, sleety. It's going to be like 25 degrees at kickoff with the wind 10 miles per hour. So the whole time I'm thinking, oh, it's going to be an under. It's going to be a snow globe game. There's going to be tons of wind. Nobody's going to be able to pass. They're just going to be running the game. We're going to shorten the game. So I'm thinking, okay, I took the under just messing around. Man, they scored. They blew out the over. It was like 44 points. They ended up scoring 32-29. That's 50 plus 12, 62 points. Jeez Louise. So the Dolphins, man, they started out really well. Raheem Mostert, just to show you how they made a new commitment to the running game, Raheem Mostert in the first quarter had 8 carries for 100 yards. And the Dolphins finished with 25 carries for 188 on the ground for a touchdown. And that's good enough for 7.5 yards per carry. And the running game, it found success. You know, you would think, okay, you run for 188, 7.5 yards carry and touchdown, you should be able to beat the Bills. Well, at one point, yeah, we were up 8 points, 29-21, but the Bills ended up coming back. Tua had a good game. He went 17 for 30 for 234 and had 2 TDs, no interceptions. He was sacked twice. But what the Dolphins were plagued by early in the game was that they missed 2 opportunities to score where they had 3 possessions and they could only get 6 points when they should have been able to score at least 1 touchdown, come away with 10 points total on those 3 possessions. The Dolphins got the ball, and on one play, especially when they got into the red zone, on one drive, Tua was able to find Tyreek Hill in the back of the end zone. Tyreek Hill jumped up, and the ball hit his hands. He dropped it. He even said, "That was my bad. I dropped it." The next play, it was the next play, and Trent Sherfield got the ball. Tua threw it to him at the goal line. Sherfield was falling down, tried to get his hands underneath, and basically dropped the ball. So 2 drop passes by the Miami Dolphins receivers caused them to only have to settle for 6 points on both of those drives. And that really changed the game because when the Dolphins were able to score a touchdown finally, they went for 2 in the first half, which I thought was peculiar. You usually try to get the points, and you usually try to get every point you can in the first half and then worry about later going for 2 and taking more risks when that's what you have to do. If the Dolphins would have got that extra point, and then who knows what would have happened, we would have gone up 9 points instead of 8 points at that given time. So the Dolphins had the 2 attempted touchdown passes. We missed that from the drops, and had a total of 4 drops in the first half, and that really cost the Dolphins the ability to take the lead on the road in the first half. And it was a close game where the Dolphins showed resilience. They didn't go away. The Bills looked like they were going to blow the Dolphins out early. At one point, it was 14-3, 14-6, and it looked like the Bills were on pace to score a lot of points during that game. But it finished 32-29. due to the Dolphins' defense playing great, and in the last play, or towards the last play of the game, the last minute of the game, the Dolphins were defending the pass. Josh Allen was being pressured. He threw it deep into the red zone, and the Dolphins were called for a pass interference play, and the Bills got the ball in field goal range. The Dolphins couldn't let the Bills score. I was saying there was like a minute 15 left. Let the Bills score from the 15-yard line, but the Bills knew that, so the Bills didn't. They didn't score. Devin Singletary got the first down and basically kneeled, and the Bills were able to kick a field goal with the time expiring and win the game 32-29 against my Miami Dolphins. And this is frustrating because the Dolphins fall to 8-6 after being 8-3, going on a 5-game winning streak. And a lot of the pundits, a lot of the analysts talking about, oh, the Dolphins aren't for real because they had to play a weak schedule for those 5 games. Of course they took care of business. But you know what? You can't help play who's in front of you, so they took care of business. But now, after this 3-game skid, we have to temper our expectations as Dolphin fans. We have to say and sit there and be like, all right, maybe we're not Super Bowl contenders, but can we make the playoffs still? Yes. Do we control our own destiny? Yes. Our next 3 games, Christmas Day, at home against the Green Bay Packers, then on the road to Foxborough or Gillette or whatever they call it. It doesn't matter. We're going to go into New England and destroy the New England Patriots, take care of business, show Bill Belichick the playoff door. And then for our final game, we are back at home against the New York Jets, against Gang Green, against the Jets suck, and I can't wait for them to come to town. This will basically be, and I could see this being, the game to decide which one of us goes to the playoffs, the Jets or the Dolphins. When you get to Week 18, it's going to be a slugfest, and you can guarantee the Jets are going to come ready to play, so I'm kind of nervous about that. But the last 3 games about the Dolphins coming up, Christmas Day against Green Bay Packers at home, on the road against the New England Patriots, and then on at home again to finish the season, close out the season against the New York Jets. Come on, Dolphins. I want to go 3-0. We'll clinch no matter what if we go 3-0. If we go 2-1, it depends who we lose to. If we beat the Green Bay Packers and the New England Patriots and we lose to the Jets, we might miss the playoffs. Our playoff chances drop down to about like 30%. If we lose to the Packers and then we beat the Jets and the Patriots, we're in. Like, it's like 100%. So it just depends who we lose to if we lose. If the Dolphins can finish 11-6, that would be great. And that'll be encouraging because chances are they'll be the 6th or the 5th seed. What I'm hoping is that the Dolphins can be the 5th seed to play the 4 seed, which is looking like the Titans right now. So we'll see what happens. Excuse me, I need a little sip of water. Dang, I just pulled a Marco Rubio. Okay. The next game on the slate of the NFL week recap news and notes was the Vikings versus the Colts. In this game, I usually don't really care about this game, about Vikings or the Colts, because they're not in the AFC East. They're not in Florida. And I usually talk about Florida teams or AFC East teams. But I had to mention this because the Vikings were able to come back. It was the largest comeback in NFL history. It was a 33-point comeback. At one point during the game, the Vikings were down 33-0 against the Colts. And the game finished 39-36 Vikings. The Vikings, this was the largest comeback in NFL history. The next previous largest comeback was the 1992 playoff game, the Bills versus the Oilers, where at one point the Oilers were beating the Bills 35-3. And Frank Reich came in the game and was able to lead at that time, and most certainly is the greatest comeback in playoff history besides 28-3. Don't get me started on the New England Patriots. And, of course, now the Vikings are the new trivia question. Who was responsible for the greatest comeback in NFL history? The Vikings. And who was responsible for letting up the greatest comeback in NFL history? The Indianapolis Colts. Once I saw that it was 30-0 at halftime, I went about my day. I was like, man, this thing's over. I can't believe Jeff Saturday is playing on Saturday, or is coaching on Saturday, and is have the Colts going to beat the Vikings. The Vikings were 10-2 or 10-3 at this point, and no, I was wrong. Crazy NFL weekend. The Vikings come back to beat the Colts 39-33, and this is just, I feel sad for Matt Ryan. He's been the victim of so many comebacks and so many choke jobs, and most specifically, one that still haunts my dreams is when he was on the Falcons in the Super Bowl, and he let the New England Patriots come back from 28-3 down and lose 34-28 against the New England Patriots. There's also been other games where Matt Ryan has just been hawked down, and now this is just adds to his voluminous library of his times that he's choked or his team has choked from big leads. Well, and speaking of big leads and big choke jobs, let's go to the next game on the docket, and that was the Dallas Cowboys traveling to TIAA Bank Field in Jacksonville to play the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jags were able to corral the Cowboys in Jacksonville 40-34 in overtime after being 4.5-point dogs at home. And you were thinking about this. The Cowboys 10-3 coming into the game. The Jaguars 5-8 coming into the game. And when you think about that, you're like, all right, the Cowboys should win. All week, the analysts were like, watch out. This is a trap spot for the Cowboys because the Cowboys are looking at the Eagles this week or next week. And sure enough, the Cowboys blew it on the road against the Jacksonville Jaguars. At one point, the Cowboys were up 27-10, and I was at a bar. I see a guy at the bar, on the other end of the bar. He starts saying when the Cowboys score 27 and it's 27-10, he's like, "How about them Cowboys?" You know how Cowboys fans do. He's like, "How about them Cowboys?" And I was like, "Oh man, we're gonna have to hear that every time the Cowboys score now." And so, as soon as he said that, the Jags proceeded to come back from 17 down and tie the game up and get into overtime. And of course, we all know that the Jags won 40-34 in overtime. So I just thought that was so serendipitous, so ironic that as soon as he's like, "How about them Cowboys?" that was the kiss of death. That's all you needed to hear, and the Jaguars had started their comeback victory. At 6-8 now, the Jaguars are dark horses to make the playoffs, sneak in as the wild card. They can win the last 3 games. They can move to 9-8, and maybe they'll get in on the 3rd seed and see. The Jaguars can be dangerous. They have a young team, and as I said in the earlier in the season about the Jaguars, they're so young that I'm not sure they know how to win yet. But if they keep stacking these victories under their belt and Trevor Lawrence keeps having good games, I really think that the Jaguars could make some noise in the playoffs, or at least knock off a team that overlooks them. And then the Cowboys really let one slip away. When you're the Cowboys and you're a really playoff Super Bowl contender, you're supposed to put teams away and keep them away. Like, you're supposed to lock the door and throw away the key. You're supposed to, when you put the foot on the neck, you're supposed to crush the dude. Like, I'm not a Cowboys fan, but I know Cowboy fans, and that was heartbreaking yesterday for them to let one slip away. And now you basically gave the Eagles the division. The Eagles now really don't have anything to play for. Almost they could lose the last 3 games, and they would still lock up the division and get the 1 seed in the NFC. Now let's move over after the Jags corralling the Cowboys in Jacksonville. Let's go west, a little southwest to Tampa, and let's look at what happened with the Bucs at home against the Cincinnati Bengals. Well, at one point, you're thinking, okay, the Bucs are bouncing back. We're 6-7. The Bucs are going to try to do something. Let's see what they can do. And at one point in the second quarter, the Bucs were up 17-3. And you're thinking, all right, this is going to be a Tampa Bay win. They're at home. They're just going to put their foot on the gas and keep on, finish the game strong. Well, that did not happen, ladies and gentlemen. The Bucs lost at home to the Bengals 34-23. At one point, the Bengals scored 31 unanswered. 21 unanswered. The Bengals took care of business on the road and completed the comeback. And this just shows you, it's just an illustration for the Bucs season. The Bucks haven't been able to get out of their own way. They're now sitting at 6-8, and the funny thing is their division, the NFC South, is so horrible, so horrendous, so putrid that they're still number one in the division. The Saints, the Falcons. The Saints are 6-8. The Falcons are 6-9, and the Bucks are 6-8, number one in the NFC South. This is so crazy to me. If you told me that the Bucks were going to be in the playoffs, I would say who's going to get to play them so that that team can blow them out, because the Bucks don't look like a playoff contender. When you're trying to traditionally get stronger as the season goes on, the Bucks right now have fallen off like a Big Mac topping. They're not able to really finish games, and their age shows. And I don't know if it's their age. I don't know if it's their lack of ingenuity on offense, but they really have trouble scoring. In, I believe, 9 out of 14 games that they've played so far, they've gone under the total. And so it just shows that they really don't score a lot. So they can't get into shootouts. Brady, Tom Brady, you should have retired last year. You should have stayed retired. You gave up your family. Well, you didn't give up your family, but, you gave up your wife. To each their own, however you want to do it. But you gave that up for football for one more year. And it's not paying off because you're 6-8 and you look old. In the last 6 years, we've been like, okay, is Tom Brady going to fall off the cliff? Father Time catches up to us all. Father Time's undefeated. Is Tom Brady going to fall off the cliff? Well, guess what? This year is that year. This year is that year that Tom Brady is donezo. He just can't will the team. In the past, he could will the team, and he had that magic where the defense would get a clutch turnover, and then he'd get the ball, and sure enough, he would punch it in for the go-ahead score. Or, the defense would get an interception when they need it, and then sure enough, he would be in position to make sure go on a 2-minute drive and take care of business at the end of the game. He just can't do that anymore, and he has the personnel around him: Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Leonard Fournette, Rashard White. He has the players. Some would say it's his O-line, but at the same time, being 46 doesn't do you any favors in the NFL. So the Bucks lost at home, moved them to 6-8, and it brought the Bengals with the win to 10-4. And what is interesting about that is the Bengals might be right now the hottest team in the AFC. After starting 3-4, they've reeled off 7 straight. Or in the AFC, they've reeled off 7 straight. And the Bengals look like nobody wants to play them, especially with Jamar Chase healthy and T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. Joe Burrow is getting time behind that O-line, and they're running the ball. And don't look now, but the Bengals' defense is pretty ferocious, no pun intended. Now, after getting to the Bengals' defeat of the Bucks, let's now switch gears to the AFC East teams, and let's talk about the Lions versus the Jets in New York in the MetLife Stadium. And the first thing I have to say about that is Jets suck. And you want to know why? Is because the Jets had their destiny in their hands. They're like, oh, we're 7-6. If we beat them, we'll be second in the AFC East and actually in the wild card race. But guess what? The Lions are a hot team right now. They're a streaking team. And the Lions beat the Jets 20-17 on the road. The Lions are for real, ladies and gentlemen. They started out 1-6, and now they're 7-7. And the Lions may sneak in as a wild card because the Vikings have already clinched the division. But they may sneak in as a wild card from the NFC North if more teams keep losing. We know one of the wild card spots at this point is the Dallas Cowboys. We know now after the Giants won, they're 8-5-1. It looks like they're getting another wild card. After that, it's anybody's ball game in the NFC who's going to get that 7th wild card position. So the Lions are a streaky team. They have DeAndre Swift, they have Jared Goff, which Jared Goff got disposed of and sent to the cold north in Detroit from L.A. because the Rams weren't happy with him. The Rams made that trade and got Matt Stafford, and the Rams won the Super Bowl. But now the Rams basically mortgaged their entire future for that 1 year, and sometimes you can't blame them. Would you mortgage your team's future if you knew they were going to win the Super Bowl? I think a lot of us would, and as a Dolphins fan, I personally would. I would love to see the Dolphins win the Super Bowl. But even if that meant for the next 10 years, we would damn near not win a game. If they won that one year, hey, catch lightning in a bottle, baby. But the Lions are now streaking, and the Jets had to start Zach Wilson because Mike White was injured. And you could say that I hope that Zach Wilson has to play the rest of the season because Week 18, collision course, New York Jets versus Miami Dolphins in Miami Gardens, Florida. Can't wait. Let's get to the last game. Oh, go Lions, by the way. That was a great win. Brought the Jets down to 7-7, brought the Lions up to 7-7. Now, let's go to the last game that I have on the NFL news and notes, and that is the Las Vegas Raiders beat the New England Patriots in Las Vegas 30-24 on a wild, wild ending that you may not see ever again, ladies and gentlemen. It was one of those things where the game was tied, and for the life of me, I don't know what Bill Belichick was thinking, but it was tied. There was not enough time to kick a field goal or get in field goal range, so the Patriots decided to do some type of play that reminded me of the Miami Miracle, but it looked way worse. The Patriots ran the ball. They did a little draw play. They ran the ball. Ramondre Stevenson or Damian, I forget his, Damian Harris ran about 15 yards. Then he pitched it to another receiver. Then that receiver pitched it backwards. He tried to pitch it to Mac Jones. Well, guess what? Chandler Jones caught it. But the only problem with that is that Chandler Jones plays for the Las Vegas Raiders. So Chandler Jones intercepted the ball, the lateral, and ran over Mac Jones, basically said, "Get off me, man," and stiff-armed him into the dirt, ran it back for a touchdown to walk off and win the game 30-24 for the Las Vegas Raiders, which moved the Raiders to 7-7 and moved the Patriots to 7-7. The craziest part of this game was that the Patriots at one point were leading. It was a back-and-forth game, and the Patriots did not have to do anything. It was third down and something. There was 3 seconds left. You're on the 45-yard line. You can't kick a field goal. Why would you run the ball and run like lateral plays, run all these different plays when you could just kneel it and go to overtime? You're on the road. Yeah, you want to try to win on the road, but dumb move by Belichick. Real head-scratcher of a move by the Patriots. Head-scratching move by Matt Patricia and the Patriots. Patricia might get fired just for that move alone. So the Patriots are 7-7 now, fourth in the AFC East, and they're basically out of it unless they somehow beat everybody and they need all the dominoes to fall to get into the playoffs. Now let's switch gears into my hashtag 5-pack of picks from a couple weeks ago. I got to keep it honest and give you that recap, and then we'll talk about my new hashtag 5-pack of picks for the upcoming week and get back on the winning train, get back on that money train. Let's see how we do. So my record coming into a couple weeks ago was 35-27-2. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, 35 wins, 27 losses, and 2 pushes against the spread. The first pick that I had was TCU laying the 2.5 versus Kansas State. And I really thought TCU had the advantage in this. It was in Texas. It was in Arlington. TCU had the more fans. TCU was coming off a emotional win, and I really thought they were going to be able to take care of business. Well, they couldn't, and they lost outright, and Kansas State won the Big 12 championship. So that moved me to 0-1 on my hashtag 5-pack of picks. Then I picked USC versus Utah because thinking same kind of thought process and mentality. All USC had to do was win against the team they had lost to on the road in hostile environment only by 1 point as a last-second play. They're playing on a neutral field in Las Vegas. But what I guess what the catch is that people from Utah and those Mormons, they travel for their teams. BYU, Utah, they be traveling like they're playing basketball, ladies and gentlemen, because it must have been at least 70-30 Utah to USC fans in the stadium. USC got blown out by Utah, and USC looked like they didn't even belong in the playoffs, and they were summarily kicked out of the CFP because of that. Although Caleb Williams had a bad showing, he won the Heisman, and so that was a good thing for USC to have another Heisman winner. But that brought me to 0-2 on my hashtag 5-pack of picks. Then my third pick was Clemson. Clemson -6, I believe, against UNC. Well, Clemson was able to take care of business against UNC, and they won 29-10, so that moved me to 1-2 on my 5-pack of picks. Then I went to the pro game, and this was, keep in mind, this was 3 weeks ago, so this was when the Dolphins were riding a 5-game winning streak. I picked the Dolphins to cover, to take the points, take the 3 points as underdogs on the road in Frisco, and I picked them to cover, but they lost 33-17. It started the misery as a Dolphins fan. And then the last pick I made was the Vikings versus the Jets, and the Vikings won. So that brought me to 2-3 on my hashtag 5-pack of picks for a couple weeks ago, which brings my record to currently, as it stands, to 37-30-2. 7 games over 500, ladies and gentlemen, against the spread. Let's try to get deeper in the money. Right now, I have a fresh, hot, piping set of 5-pack of picks, soon to be world famous, hashtag 5-pack of picks for you here. And, let's light this thing up. The first 2 picks are from the college football bowl season. I really think it's important to pick these bowls, but you have to be careful when you're picking bowls against the spread, over-unders, or making any wagers about the bowl season. Because a lot of times, the bowl season is all about matchups and what's in it for the teams. You might have a team that's 6-6, just barely got bowl eligible, and they're just excited to be there and can't wait to play their hearts out and take care of business. Then you have another team that's 9-3 that is disappointed in their season, thought they had hopes of the playoffs, thought they had hopes of a national championship or a conference championship, and now they're playing in a minor bowl. They're not really going to show up to play. It's just human nature. So you have to watch out for those matchups when you're wagering on the college football bowl season. Let's get into the first pick, and that is the roofclaim.com Boca Raton Bowl, ladies and gentlemen. The biggest outdoor party of the year in Palm Beach County is happening tomorrow night, December 20th, Tuesday at 7 p.m. The roofclaim.com Boca Raton Bowl is, like I said, it's the biggest outdoor sporting event in Palm Beach County annually. It's their 9th year. Going on, next year will be 10 years for the roofclaim.com Boca Raton Bowl. And this year it pits Liberty versus Toledo. Toledo's in the MAC, the Mid-America Conference, and Liberty is an independent, which was ranked as high as 19 this year in the top 25. Liberty in the past has been pretty competitive, and I expect this to be a competitive game. I really think Toledo is known. They're the Toledo Rockets. They're known for that Tuesday night maction where no other conference in the country for college football plays on a Tuesday night. Well, the MAC conference does, and you see a lot of high-scoring shootouts. That's why I call it Tuesday night maction. And Toledo is one of those teams that puts on a show. It likes to put on a show. So Toledo right now is 3-and-a-hook favorite. They're laying 3.5 points. And the game is tomorrow at 7. And if you look at this, Toledo is a good squad. Liberty is an independent school, private school. I really like Toledo come down out of the cold. Liberty, I believe, plays in Mississippi or Alabama. But I like Toledo to come down out of the cold, come down to Boca Raton, and enjoy the weather and really take Liberty to the woodshed and take care of business. Give me Toledo laying the 3.5 against Liberty tomorrow in the roofclaim.com Boca Raton Bowl tomorrow at 7 at FAU Stadium in Boca Raton. It's a beautiful stadium. It's only 2.5 miles from the ocean. If you're on the top of the stadium and on the top of the stands on the upper deck and you look east, you can see the ocean from the stadium. That's pretty awesome. Tickets are starting at $15. I don't get paid for this. I just like to support Palm Beach County. Listen, if you're in the area, go check out the roofclaim.com Boca Raton Bowl. There's options for kids, for adults, all ages. There's going to be games. There's a festival going on outside. Oh, yeah, and there's a game that's happening, too. So things for all people, all ages. Check out the roofclaim.com Boca Raton Bowl tomorrow at 7 in Boca Raton, Florida. Now, After that, I'm going for my next bowl game pick. This is all about who wants it more in the matchups. And Air Force is playing Baylor. And this is one of those situations where Air Force is a armed forces school. They're 9-3. And they're a pretty tough out for anybody who plays against them in the regular season, let alone in a bowl. And you know, those pilots, those Air Forcemen, they're really going to bring it when they play in a bowl against Baylor. It's the Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl. Baylor is a 4-point favorite. And Air Force, I'm taking Air Force to plus the 4 against Baylor. Baylor 6-6. They really don't have much to play for. They really aren't like, I don't think they'll get up for the game. So give me Air Force plus the 4 against Baylor in the Armed Forces Bowl. Now, let's move to the pro game picks. And I'm going with, for my first pick out of in the hashtag 5-pack of picks for the NFL game, I'm going with Thursday Night Football, and that is the Jags taking the 1 point against the Jets in New York. And this brings me to what you may have heard before, is that the Jags are trying to go on a playoff run. If the Jags win out, they'll be 9-8. They might sneak in as the 7 seeds, who knows, and they're peaking at the right time. They just beat the Cowboys in comeback fashion at home. They got to go on the road, but the Jets are faltering. After Mike White got injured 2 weeks ago, the Jets really haven't been really anything with Zach Wilson. We know what we're going to get with Zach Wilson. And if Mike White ends up playing, I'll probably switch it to the Jets. But I'm a man of my word, so I'll stick with the Jags. And if Zach Wilson is starting, that money's take it to the bank. But, that's the famous last words. As soon as you say take it to the bank, the Jets end up come out looking like gangbusters, and they're going to end up winning. But give me the Jags +1 versus the Jets in MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. Then my fourth pick is the Dolphins laying the 5 points against the Green Bay Packers in Miami. It's a lot of points, and that number, that 5, is a little fugazi for my liking. Like, that number is a little suspicious. Don't be suspicious, baby. It's a little suspicious because usually the key numbers 4, 3, 6, 7, 5 is such a weird number. So it makes me think either Dolphins are going to blow out the Packers or the Packers are going to win outright in Miami, which I don't want to happen. And I can't bet against the Dolphins. That's my team. So give me the Dolphins laying the 5 against the Packers in Miami. It's a must-win for the Dolphins to stay in the hunt. And hashtag come on, Dolphins. Then my fifth and final hashtag 5-pack of picks is the Bucks laying 4.5. Or if you buy it down, buy the hook, laying 4 versus the Cardinals in the Big Toaster out in Arizona. 3 reasons why I think the Bucks can bounce back and get it done is they're still in the playoff hunt. They're in the division lead right now. Kyler Murray is out for the year with the ACL, so Colt McCoy is the backup for the Cardinals. It's a must-win for Tampa, so it's put up or shut up time for the Tampa Bay Bucks. And it brings me to my last point is that, come on, Bucks. Come on, Bucks. Y'all got to do it. At least try to make it look like have some pride and try to win the game, man. Like, I'm not even a Bucks fan, but I just want them to like not look crazy. Like, you can be like 9-8 or whatever, but it's weird to see the Bucks be bad like that, especially with Tom Brady. It's the first time in Tom Brady's 20-something year career that he's ever lost 8 games in a season, which is surprising. He's been playing since Bill Clinton was president. So, for these last couple minutes, we're going to switch it from football. Hunter, do you mind turning down the sound? Just for these last couple minutes. I thought I would leave you with my own rendition of the Christmas song by Nat King Cole. Chestnuts roasting on an open fire, Jack Frost nipping at your nose, Yuletide carols being sung by a choir, and folks dressed up like Eskimos. Everybody knows some turkey and some mistletoe help to make the seasons bright. Tiny little tots with their eyes all aglow will find it hard to sleep tonight. They know that Santa's on his way He's loaded lots of toys and goodies on his sleigh. And every mother's child is gonna try to see if reindeers really know how to fly. And so I'm offering this simple phrase to kids from 1 to 92. That's you. Though it's been said many times, many ways, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Leo B. the Lion Show, coming at you live from Mondays 5 to 6 Eastern here at Respectable Street in Clematis and beautiful downtown West Palm Beach. Find me at Leo B. the Lion on YouTube or on Twitter at Leo B. the Lion Show. It's been a pleasure, and I look forward to hearing from you or seeing from you next week. Thanks, everybody.